So, welcome back to our live pictures from here at Portimao, and we are very, very close to the start of our finals. It's finals day of the 2017 Rotax Max Challenge World Finals 2017. We're scheduled to have our first race start at 12:20, the MicroMax final over 10 laps. Henry Burdett and myself, Ken Walker, both suddenly having a little jerk when we noticed a board going up saying that there was going to be an earlier start than that. We've not been told that there is an earlier start than that, but we're in position just in case that is so. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the micro final. It will be over 10 laps. It will be Adrian Malheiro of Portugal starting on pole position, with Kino Al-Azari from the United Arab Emirates on the front row in the off-pole position.
Well, we are watching the young Emirati driver, one of several 9-year-olds in the race. The second time that we have had the MicroMax event as a main class. Last year, the winner was Diego Larocque from the United States, with Robert de Haan from the Netherlands and Chris Hannon from the Netherlands on the podium. There is the pole man. Getting some...
And there are some rather high heels.
That's not the pole man.
That's not the pole man. That's rather a tight racing suit. But never mind. Let's talk about the lads.
And Keanu.
Well, to the left of your screen, cart number 20 is Ryoto Harachi of Japan, or was, and he will be starting on the inside of row 2, and he'll be alongside Leon Zelenko of Croatia in cart number 9 in P4. There is cart number 20, Ryoto Harachi. This is at the front still. Kino Al-Azari just, well, looking fairly relaxed, isn't he? K. Al-Azari on his predominantly yellow helmet. And if we are able to skip down the 18 rows of this grid, because it's a 36, there we are. Maciej Gladish of Poland is on P3. And he's sharing row 3 with Felipe Bernasconi of Argentina. Matthias Glajic in the foreground. Just looking a little bit further back behind those two, Théophile Nel of France and Maximilian Obst of Poland are row 4.
So 28 nations will be represented in this race alone. 36 drivers, the youngest 8, the oldest just 10. Although we do have 1 or 2 11-year-olds that have at the very upper end of the age bracket, who will be the second driver to write their name on the Rotax Max Challenge Wall of Fame in MicroMax. Will it be that man, Théophile Nel, the French driver, who is
as you can see, his cart is in P4, wasn't he? Philippe Bernasconi cart 33 we've cut to now.
He starts.
Well, his mechanic's loose enough,
yes.
Isn't he?
Yes. Everyone having a good time. Bernasconi in cart number 33, 11 years old, from Trenque, South American champion.
See the rosary there. Strong Roman Catholic country, of course.
Oh.
Cart number 5, Antonelli Bassani, the lady from Brazil. And there she is.
And a keen footballer when she is not karting.
Pretty good, wasn't she, in the car on the car park tarmac
She
pitch?
certainly was, showing the boys how it's done on the track and on the soccer pitch. And there is the race suit of Poland, the front.
Well, Henry, what I think I'm going to do is pick up the grid from beyond row 5, the top 10, and do interfere, interject if there's something on screen that we ought to pay attention to. But alongside Antonella Bassani of Brazil is Martin Janovskis of Latvia, and they are row 5. Row 6, Zoltan Koros from Slovakia, the only driver in this event with a lady mechanic, and the lady mechanic a rather talented one too. Anyan Konatarova, I think she's from the Czech Republic. Zoltan's alongside Louis Iglesias of France on row 6. Row 7, India's Ruha Alvar and Alexander Benderov of Ukraine.
So the scene there, well, of these drivers, several of them competed last year. We'll see Alexei Yalava, who finished 10th last year. Adrian Malheiro, well, he suffered an exclusion. He won't want a repeat of that. Ryota Horachi finished 13th in this event 1 year ago. Shota Fuji 34th. Morris Schmeitz 23rd. So 5 returning challenge finals. It was a national event. This is a full international event. As you can see on your screen, race 49. And here is our chance to have a full look at all 36 contenders.
Yes, let's just skip through them again. Adrian Malheiro of Portugal on the front row with Kina Al-Hazari. We've had a look at both of them. Ryota Harachi and Leon Zelenko on row 2 likewise.
Leon, one of only 2 Croatians here this week.
Row 3, Maciej Gladisz of Poland and Felipe Bernasconi of Argentina. Teofil Nile of France and Maximilian Obst of Poland, row 4.
Teofil Nile, one of the best placed drivers in any of the final grids that suffered a penalty during the heat races.
Maciej Gladisz coming from a very famous motorsport family in Italy. And the only lady amongst these the only girl amongst these lads, Antonella Bassani of Brazil. We've told you about her soccer skills. You're going to see her motor racing skills. She lines up with Martins Janovskis. Martins Janovskis is from Latvia. Zoltan Koros with the lady mechanic from Slovakia. Row 6 alongside France's Louis Iglesias.
Another 2 female drivers that have made the finals. Antonella is the best placed on the grid.
Ruhan Alvar of India and Alexander Bondarev of the Ukraine are row 7. Brent Cruz from the United States is alongside Nicolas Ambiado of Chile on row 8.
And Alexander Bondarev, the only 8-year-old in the field. Brent Cruz suffering a penalty in the pre-final that pushes him back.
Adam Mikhail Nazrul Haizal. Henry and myself don't promise to say all of those names in race commentary speed, but the Malaysian lines up with Jack Jeffers of the USA on row 9. Moritz Schmeiss of Germany and Anatoly Kovalkin of Russia complete the top 20 on row 10.
And Morris Schmeitz, one of 5 returning drivers from last year.
Row 11, Shota Fuji of Japan and the home-based João Oliveira representing the host nation Portugal. They're row 11. Behind them, Mohammed Wali of the Republic of South Africa and Harry Arnett of Australia.
Harry Arnett, a 3rd-generation racer and a keen Aussie rules football player.
Interesting. Mikkel Garda Pedersen, I'm hearing things from Henry that I didn't know myself. Of Denmark, Mikkel Garda Pedersen alongside Rostislav Kostina. Alongside him from the Ukraine. Jonathan Madden of Poland.
Via Ireland.
And Manuel Bourget of Argentine. Behind them on row 14. Marcello Paniccia of Canada and Yuno Kim of Korea on row 15. They complete the top 30. Doev Dedeka of Belgium and Menyart Kroja of Hungary are row 16. Well done to Menyart making the final. He didn't post a time in qualifying. All his heats he had to start last. Nicholas Lekos of Greece and Edwin Kanaisa from Lebanon are row 17. And would you believe it, Danny van Routen has to start on the back row. Henry will tell you why. He's alongside Alexei Yalava of Finland.
Yes, a last lap incident in the pre-final while Van Routen was battling for 3rd place means that the driver of kart number 10, the 11-year-old from Tegelen, the Dutch champion, starts on the back row of the grid, and Alexei Yalava, well, his mechanic is nicknamed Crazy Turbo. He's going to need some crazy turbo power to get from 36th to 1st inside 10 laps.
So the time is 12:18. The scheduled start time is 12:20. Oh, I was just going to say the tension building, but one of the lads there having a yawn and an arm stretch. So maybe that was his way of dealing with the tension, or maybe there was no tension there, just a little bit bored waiting for the start. Mechanics have been required to clear the grid, as have the grid girls. So we are getting down to the sharp end now. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you joining us online, those of you here at Portimao, the start of the finals of the 2017 Rotax Max Grand Challenge World Finals. The 18th running of this event. We started back in the year 2000. Here we are 18 years on. Well, I have to confess to a little bit of nerves. I'm always a little bit nervous. 1 minute to go. And just ask my colleague Henry, do you ever get nervous before a commentary? You look like Mr. Cool.
No, the butterflies go. You have to make sure that your papers are ready. They're always there. For many years, I was a reluctant commentator because in the rolling lap, I was thinking, I wish I was still back out there. I wish I was still out there. But now, it just gives me great pleasure to be able to join with the likes of yourselves and hopefully bring a bit more colour and flavour to what is already a very colourful event.
Well, you certainly do, mate. Let me interrupt you and say you certainly do. I don't know any other motorsport commentator anywhere on the globe doing what he does with a Viking helmet on and two sharp horns on it.
Well, yeah, there is Ramiro Brito, so our new race director for 2018. And, oh, well, Ramiro, luckily he is fleet of foot because one of our MicroMax drivers, maybe warming the tyres a little bit too much, managed to almost send our race director into a spin of his own. And certainly, whilst our former race director Nigel Edwards is watching on keenly back home, Ramiro Brito doing a fantastic job. There's nerves in the commentary box. Are there any nerves on the track as Ramiro sets off on his first outing, the finals? And talk about nerves, I suppose the 36 most nervous individuals might be on the track right now, although as a former driver of no great talent, I found that when the engines fired out onto the start line and you were on the rolling lap, the nerves disappeared straight away.
Adrian Maliero on the left, Kino Al-Azari on the right. They are the front row. Ryota Harachi and Leon Zelenko will be row 2. Maciej Gladish and Philip Bernasconi, row 3. Teofil Nile and Maxi Obst, row 4. The only girl amongst these boys, Antonelli Bassani, is on row 5 alongside Martin Janowskis. They are the top 10 of these 36 starters. 10 racing laps ahead of them, and at the end of it, what kind of a prize? Well, you may be 8, you may be 9, you may be 10 years of age, but one of these 36 is going to be able to walk away from here and say, you know what? I'm a world motorsport champion. We're going to find out who it is. Adrian Mayero on the left, Kano Al-Hazari on the right, and well, slightly untidy start, and Kano Al-Hazari took advantage of what I thought was a gap that he was not expecting to find there, and Leon Zelenko has gone with him, and they are the first two as they go round at the bottom of the hill. And our friends at Alain Raceway, who we know always support us on World Finals Day, you've got off to a great start, guys.
Significantly, all 36 drivers safely through the first couple of corners. That is something that you really want to see everybody able to at least get into the swing of this race. But already some defending going on. Oh, Malchiero trying to make a move. Only vaults up over the back of the driver there. I think that was Ryota Harachi.
Well, number 9,
in
Leo
second.
Zelenko,
Oh, it was a Croatian driver, and Malchiero bouncing over the top of the rear end of the Croatian's kart, and 3 wide down at the bottom. There's Zoltan Koros in the middle with the white, red and blue race suit, but look at the gap that Keanu Al-Azhari has gained with Zelenko, and yellow flags waving in the background. Well, Malchiero Has he damaged his nose? He's certainly damaged his track position.
Yeah,
They'll cross the iron at the end of lap number 1, and Malheiro is down in 11th place.
He's certainly paid the price for a tardy start from pole position. Didn't do any favours to Ryota Hirachi immediately behind him, nor Maciej Gladish. But Kino Al-Hazari, well, he must have thought that Christmas has come really, really early. A great feature of micro race throughout is you can have a race from start to finish where you've got a block of 6, 7, 8 drivers simply swapping places. This is a huge lead in general terms. It is not, however, a race-defining, guaranteed race-winning lead. But it's a pretty healthy one as we're at, let me see, 2.5 laps into this 10-lap race. Coming to the quarter race distance already.
What the drivers in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th need to do, Zelenko, Obst, Iglesias and Janowskis, they have to work together. If we see them battling side by side as, there is 14
is Théophile
out.
Nile of France. He started on the 4th row in 7th place. He is not going to finish the race. Neither is Juno Kim of Korea. He's also left us in the early stages.
And now, this is where the pack in 2nd place are not helping each other, because they were side by side there. The gap to Al-Azhari was 1.06 seconds, but Al-Azhari is driving into a headwind. It's not a stiff headwind, but it is still a headwind. The slipstream effect will take good, well, will play into the hands of the chasing pack. But as you can see, there's the number 9 of Leon Zelenko, the bright red crash helmet, almost half looking over his shoulder. The number 5 car making a move there, that is Antonella Bassani, the young lady from Brazil, up into P5. And they have to work together. Lap 3 out of 10. These carts on your screen, they're still too wide. There's the Janowskis, the Latvian driver, with the dark red with white stripe race suit on. And let's have a check of the gap. We have a change for second. Maximilian Obst from Poland in cart 1 is into
just
second.
Behind those two, Louis Iglesias set the fastest lap previously at 68.796. So the fastest driver on the circuit is the guy who, well, it's changed.
And now we're looking at some teamwork. We have a French and Croatian alliance, as it were, because they have worked together. Zelenko pushing Iglesias. It's not Obst, it's Iglesias. Obst is now into 4th place, leading the 3rd pack of carts. You've got Alzari is going to come into our screen now, then the 2nd and 3rd, then 2, 4, 6 drivers battling for 3rd, led by Obst with Bassani, Janowskis, Ryota Hirachi and Zoltan Koros in that group. Alexander Bondarev, 8 years old, is 9th ahead of Brent Cruz, Ruhan Alva, Maciej Gladic, Felipe Bernasconi, Nicolas Ambiado and Morris Schmeitz round out the top 15.
Just to illustrate a point you were making that there and made early on, working together for the trailing pack, the chasing pack.
Wow.
Al-Azhari had a lead of over a second, 1.02 at one point. It was 0.92, so a 10th taken back at the end of lap 3. Let's have a look at the end of lap 4, what the margin is.
It's 7.
0.696, so the message is clear. Kino Al-Azhari in the lead is in a very clear and handsome lead, but it's a diminishing lead because the guys behind are catching up, and we are at the half race distance already. Our caption on screen confirming that Max Obst of Poland set the fastest lap on lap 4, 67.99. Into the second half of the race.
And as Luis Iglesias came out of turn 4 and began the descent down the steep hill towards turn 5, we saw him looking over his shoulder. That's not worrying about defending, that is looking for somebody to push him along, because Iglesias does need somebody to go with him. He's got 2 drivers there, Zelenko and I believe that's Obst for company. And
some dramatic news from
we are getting
Gilles alongside Henry. We've talked about it. Here we go.
We saw Keanu Al-Azhari making a good start. It was too good a start. The race leader has been given a 10-second penalty for jumping the start, and that will change the complexion, because as you look down the timing screens, 10 seconds covers the top 20. Keanu Al-Azhari will not win this race. He will not become a champion, and he's already dropped back to 3rd. They have put that message out on the big digital board over the start line. Al-Azhari knows that. Well, what do? You're 9 years old. You've just been told there's no way that you're going to win this. Do you get back behind? Do you push away now?
You don't feel sorry for yourself. You don't start pouting. You don't start sulking. You say, I'm still going to give this a good race. And Henry, in the heats, we saw a couple of guys well placed going out, restarted in P34, 35, 36, and set fastest laps. Didn't gain them a lot, but they made their point.
Well, in MicroMax racing, a gap can open up very quickly. It can close very quickly, but if Al-Azhari can push, he needs to push Iglesias and Zelenko for all they are worth, and hope that behind them we have a good battle. We got Obst and Horaci scrapping over fourth. If they continue to battle and Al-Azhari pushes, it's unlikely. We're lap 7 out of 10. It is unlikely. But if he works with the two leaders to push them away, then he may put 10 seconds between himself and maybe grab a top 10 finish.
Yeah.
It's not out of the realms of possibility. Iglesias for France leads. Zelenko from Croatia is second. Croatia have never stood on the podium. And at the moment, Maximilian Obst is running fourth. That's third on the road with Ryota Horaci, Zoltan Koros, Brent Cruz, Alexander Bondarev, and then a gap back to Antonella Bassani, who has slipped back to ninth, with Janowskis rounding out the top 10. But it is France, Croatia, and then on your screens, United Arab Emirates, but in the race itself, Poland running in third.
Well, let's call it as we see it on screen, although we have already alerted you to that 10-second penalty. And here's Kino. Oh, bless him, caught a little bit in no man's land there, although the spirit was willing, wasn't it? If he could have had a big wide sweep around there, might have gone third to first. He's nudging himself into second place, I do believe. Ooh.
Or he could just ignore me and just get to the front and win it on the road.
Yep.
If you can win it on the road, you can turn around and say, well, you know what, the trophy's not in my mental place, but I finished first in that race.
Yeah. Okay, we are late in the race because there's 1 2/3 laps remaining. It is the MicroMax final, and although we've not got a half a dozen en bloc at the front, we've got an interesting and fascinating situation, not least because of the presence of Kino Al-Azhari, who's racing like it's a full straight arm's length race, notwithstanding. And that's a lovely piece of driving. And the point you made moments ago, well, maybe there's some mini bragging rights to be had, even if you lose the race in the steward's room. And already we've got a situation where we've been told he's got the penalty. I think that's a judge of fact situation, not appealable.
Well, also, every driver has seen that. Iglesias and Zelenko will have seen that same message. So why do they say, well, we'll let you go?
Yeah.
We'll let you go. We'll dispute it ourselves, because Iglesias has now gapped Zelenko by about 4 or 5 kart lengths.
He's got the best of both worlds, because he's getting the tow from Azhari without the need to go past him, and as you say, putting distance between himself and the following pack. Well, it isn't a pack, the third place driver. Good driving by these lads. The Croatian Leon Zelenko, the Frenchman Louis Iglesias, effectively battling for 1 and 2. But we just have this little ingredient at the front of Kino Al-Azhari saying, I've actually got a point to make, even if I'm not going to win the race.
Well, Ken, this is the last afternoon of your full-time career in the box, and have we seen a situation of this before, where the guy leading the race has been told he's got a penalty, the whole field have been told this guy's got a penalty. It's a very, very strange situation for Iglesias to be in. Iglesias, does he try and defend? Does he try and attack? Or does Al-Azhari defend? I mean, he'll want to win, but I mean, Luis Iglesias, as we start the final lap, has got this one. All he's got to do is push Keanu Al-Azhari round, and Iglesias, at the moment, from what we understand, will be the champion. The battle for second or third is on. Zelenko, Horaci and Obst.
The battle for second and third is on Mega. Oh, and having said that, there was perhaps a bigger gap than I anticipated. I rather thought that, let me see, Leon Zelenko, Ryota Horaci and Maxi Obst were closer to each other than they are in fact.
Well, Al-Azhari is defending. That's going to slow Iglesias down. Zelenko's got a slight break. We're less than half a lap from home, Ken, and it certainly looks as though Luis Iglesias, well, Al-Azhari looks like he's going to win it on the road. Azhari looks like he's going to win this on the road. Iglesias doesn't want to make a move and then realise that, oh, I didn't need to do that. But we'll see what happens. This is MicroMax racing. Anything can happen, Ken Walker.
Yeah, well, what a strange race to call for the first of our finals. But on the track, Kinu Al-Azhari from the United Arab Emirates. He's punching the air as if to say, yep, that's good enough for me. A little bit more agitated, animated punching of the air by Luis Iglesias, who comes home in second place on the track, but probably knowing that he's got the victory from Leon Zelenko, who would finish third, Ryota Haruchi, who would be second, Ryota Haruchi would be third, and Maxi Ust in fourth place. We didn't mention Brent Cruz other than early on in commentary. He's come home in the top 5, it would seem.
From the
and
8th row of the grid.
Now on screen we're getting the adjusted timings, and Al-Azhari is now classified 14th. So out of the top 5, Alexander Bondarev 6, Zoltan Koros with his lady mechanic. They have a very, very handsome return for their joint efforts, P7 in the final. And the lady from Brazil, we don't often get ladies in any class finishing the top 10 in a final. Antonella Bassani of Brazil has done so in MicroMax. Martin Janowskis 9th, and the very, I suspect, very, very disappointed Adrian Malheiro from Portugal. He gets a top 10 finish, but little else to be happy about this afternoon.
Well, for those of you who like facts and figures, the youngest driver in the class, Alexander Bondarev from Ukraine, finishes 6th. The only driver out of the 360 with a female mechanic, Zoltan Koros, takes 7th. And Antonella Bassani, the first lady racer in MicroMax, finishes in 8th. Here is your provisional results on screen. Ruhan Alva, I would believe that is India's best ever finish in a grand finals. 12th place, Kianu Al-Azhari, the winner on the road, but 14th place in the final reckoning. Doe de Dekker from Belgium from the 16th row, 31st place on the grid to 15th. Portugal's João Oliveira finishes in 17th place. And of the drivers, well, Ryota Haruchi returning driver rather, and mentioned that there was 32 nations. That's the first provisional podium that Croatia have ever had at this event.
Danny van Routen, who started on the